By Caesar, for service and service and dinner.
I'm learning from math equations. I'm learning from all this. I'm searching knowledge. I'm trying to study knowledge.
All right.
You told me to go.
First of all, today will be countdown week 3. Today's warm-up is reaching back, way back to a challenging concept from a long time ago, but that you did study this year with me. I am so far very impressed with the discussions and hard work that most of you are putting in. So keep up that good work throughout today. Let's see if the hard work translated into some measure of success. What was the inequality you wrote for number 1? Inequality first. We'll start with Gloria, Isabella, then Gary. Gloria, what'd you put?
150 is greater or less than 20 plus 55.
Okay. What'd you put, Isabella? Say it one more time. I apologize.
55 plus 20 is 55 plus 20 plus x is equal to less than or equal to 1.
Okay. So it sounded similar to Gloria. Was that the same thing as yours? Oh, it was the same thing. Okay. I got confused. Gary, what was yours?
Oh, I put for the possible polling times, C is.
Well, no. I don't want that. I just want the inequality.
Oh, the inequality is 55 plus 20. I didn't write that. Oh, I didn't.
All right. Well.
I forgot.
Okay, you got to make sure you follow the instructions, but there's more than one possibility. Here's one of them. 55 plus 20 plus x, t, whatever variable you want to use, is less than or equal to 150. If you would now look over on my whiteboard, I will accept quite a few different others. 75 plus x is less than or equal to 150. X plus 75 is less than or equal to 150. I would accept the whole thing flipped around, so you could put 150 is greater than or equal to 75 plus x. So pretty much any variation of this or any variation of the one I have up there would be acceptable. Any comments, questions about what's acceptable? Does anyone have one that I didn't put up that you think maybe is correct? Okay. And then when you solve that, what do you get? Jed Lee, Briante, and then Valerie. Jed Lee, what'd you get?
75 minutes or less, or 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
X equals 25 minutes.
Okay. Valerie?
75 minutes or less.
Okay. So I actually put it in words, 75 minutes or less, and I'm very impressed. Jed Lee, you're the first person, and Valerie, you also chimed in the same way. You're the first person to say it that way. You don't have to, but I think that's a pretty high-level way of saying it. The other way I would accept it, of course, is x is less than or equal to 75. 75 or 75 is greater than or equal to x. Any of those would be accepted. Very good so far. Number 2. How do you write that as an algebra statement? We start with Corey and then Selena. What'd you put, Corey?
X is less than -7, or less than or equal to -7.
Okay, what'd you put?
I put 9 plus n is less than negative 15.
Okay, so that's what I was looking for, is 9 plus n was less than negative 15. Corey, you weren't here when we studied that, so don't worry about it. And then you said, Corey, your final answer was what?
X is less than -7.
It comes out to n is less than negative 24. And it doesn't matter what variable you use, but it comes out to n is less than negative 24. You have to have the less than symbol. If you don't have the less than symbol, it is wrong, because you're saying something totally different. Okay? Number 3, how do you say that in an algebra statement? We'll start with Briante and then Kianis.
18 is greater than or equal to x minus 1.
Okay.
I put 18 is greater than or equal to n minus 1.
Okay, and that is what I was looking for. That's a tough one because some people mistakenly put 4 minus n, and that has to do with reading the phrase less than. In this case, it has to be 18 is greater than or equal to n minus 4. And what do you get when you solve that inequality? What do you get? Gloria, and then back to Selena. What do you get, Gloria?
X is less than. Yeah, x is less than.
What'd you get?
X is less than 20. Less than or equal to 20.
Okay, very good. N is less than or equal to 22, or 22 is greater than or equal to n. Either way is the same thing. And again, it doesn't matter what letter you use. Excellent job. Comments or questions, concerns, issues on any of these? Corey, go ahead.
The reason I missed 2 is because I misread the question. I thought it was the sum of 9 and negative 15.
The sum of 9 and negative 15. Okay. Okay. The sum of 9 and negative 15 is not negative 7.
Makes sense.
Negative 6. So,
Still did that wrong.
oh, it's okay. But the point is you recognize that you made a mistake somewhere. Good. Other comments, questions, concerns? And I appreciate you sharing. That's very important to help other people with what you did wrong. Because I guarantee someone else made the same mistake. Any other comments, questions? Nothing? Okay, put this warm-up to the side. We are going to follow the same procedure we've been following for the past 2 lessons. You're going to, when you get your packet, turn and find Countdown Week 3, the first page that says that. So my students at the front, if you would take the packets and hand them back to the people behind you. Please be careful with the packets. Again, they are only held together by 1 or 2 staples and they can easily tear. If it does rip or tear, please let me know so I can fix it as soon as possible. Also remember that you may not write anywhere in this. I did have a case where a student had either accidentally or intentionally written their answers in the packet. Do not do that. Do your work on your paper. Now, turn in the packet to where it says week 3 and find the first day that says day 11. Make sure that you are on day 11. Write on your notebook paper day 11. So, same procedure that we've been following. You are now going to be given 10 minutes for 5 questions. I am not going to help you at all. You are going to work completely independently. Your score for the first set doesn't matter. You need to do your best, but it doesn't matter what the score ends up. Does anyone have any questions on your job? You've got 10 minutes. Go ahead and begin. All right. Colored pens up, pencils down on your desk. Let's see how we did on this first set. Number 1 is G. Number 2 is B. Number 3 is 48. Number 4 is G. And number 5 is C. Now, I am not going to survey the group to see how we did. You need to write down your percent for this set, but I'm not going to survey to get it. But I will be surveying question by question to see how we did on each individual question. We will have a couple of refreshers and a little bit of a mini lesson. So, number 1. Give me a thumbs up if you got it right. That's actually pretty impressive that you got it right. Put your thumbs down. We have not studied this in my class yet, and this is actually a huge algebra idea. So we need to make sure we understand why we got the right answer so that we can keep getting the right answer. Could one of my students explain how you figured it out? All right, we'll start with Gloria and then Kevon. Gloria, what'd you do? Okay. Okay, Kevon.
See, I looked at it too, but when I looked at it, I looked at the labels to see which one was which.
Okay. Very good.
And on the left, it said cents.
Good.
The first dot was at 3, then 6, then 9, then so on. Then at the bottom of the graph, it said time. And the first time it was at 1, 2, 3, so on. So it was 3 cents.
Okay, very good. So now you're picking up these specific points, and at these specific dots, you can see that it costs 3 cents for 1 hour. That's how this works, is you connect this with this. 3 cents for 1 hour. And it will actually work for every point. This one is 6 cents for 2 hours, but what happens when you put 6 cents over 2 hours in simplest form? Michaela? Comes out to 3 over 1. And what if you put 9 over 3? 9 over 3 is also 3 over 1. And if you put 12 over 4, 12 over 4 is also equivalent to 3 over 1. So each ratio is equivalent. And that's what makes it linear. Okay? And so the correct answer was G. Selena, you had something that you also wanted to share. Go ahead. Okay. Any comments or questions on this? Now, one thing I want you to be aware of is that the graph won't always have dots on it, like this. It will have a line, but it won't necessarily have dots. That doesn't mean that there aren't any dots. In fact, any point on this line can be one of the points. So you could have picked that point right there. You could pick that point right there. No matter which point you pick, the ratio will be the same. Now, in the second question, there is a phrase, direct variation. This graph is a direct variation. A direct variation is a straight line that passes through 0, 0. That is what a direct variation is. That leads me into question number 2, because number 2 is something we've never seen before. Now, most of you in this room are going to take algebra next year. Here is my map for algebra in the back, and you can see in the end of chapter 4, you will actually study the idea of direct variation. This is what it is. It's an equation that comes out in the form y equals kx, where k is a number. Okay? For this year, you don't have to know that. All you have to be able to do is recognize some attributes, some characteristics of a direct variation. I already told you one of them. One of the characteristics of a direct variation is it's a straight line that passes through 0, 0. Here is another characteristic. Let's see who was able to figure it out. Let's survey. Give me a thumbs up if you got number 2 correct. Good. Some people did, some people didn't. Alex, how did you figure it out?
Well, I looked at A and it had like relationships, like 4 times 2 equals 8, and then 8 times 2 equals 16, and then for x is 3 times 2 equals 6, and so on.
Okay,
And then C is the same thing, and D is the same thing.
that's right. So if you notice, this is times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. In fact, if you look at these as fractions, they are actually all equivalent. They're all equal to 3/4. Same thing is true as he already said, it works for C and D as well. This is times 3 times 3. Okay, these are all equivalent. Same thing for D. If you look at them as a fraction, these are all equivalent. But B is not equivalent. I can prove it to you another way because I hate fractions and I don't want to deal with them. But let's look at what happens when we convert it to another format. Could someone tell us what 3/4 is as a decimal just right off the top of your head, Caesar? Right, so look at 6/8. And look at 12/16. They all come out the same. Does anyone know 2/5 off the top of your head? You should. Chanel? Very good. 0.4, 0.40. Look at 6/15. And look at 8/20. They all come out the same. But now look at B. 5/6 is 0.83 repeating. 8/9 is not the same. And 11/12 is not the same. They're all different. So in this case, you actually didn't even need to know what a direct variation was. You just had to find the one that didn't match the others. And the only one that didn't match was B. Okay? Any comments, questions about that? No comments, no questions. All right, number 3. We are not going over. We did this question already in class at an earlier date, and we did another version of it at an earlier date. Everyone should have gotten the question right. If you didn't, you need to pay attention. You're going to get another one. Now, number 4. Let's see who was able to do this. Give me a thumbs up if you got number 4 correct. Good, good. I'm very proud of you if you did. Valerie, how did you get it correct?
Okay, so the distributive property and then is
Okay, how does the distributive property work? Because that was a big, big word you used.
okay, so see the negative 3?
I do.
Okay. Do negative 3 times 4x. And then do the same thing, negative 3 times negative 6.
Very good, and that was a very advanced thing that you said, -6. Very good. That's distributive property, and that we spent a lot of time on earlier in the year. And so that's what you had to do. Now, -3 times 4, it doesn't really matter because all of the answers have the same first number. So really, you had to pay attention to the second number. -3 times -6 is positive 18. Now, there's another positive 18 over here. Could someone explain why the answer is not I? Why isn't it I? Gary?
Because they multiplied it.
Yeah, it seems like they tried to trick us by doing that as well, even though they made a mistake and put 60 instead of -60. But that's not how distributive property works. That was wrong, and so the answer had to be G. Any questions on that one? Give me a thumbs up if you got number 5 correct. Everybody should have gotten it correct. We did this question before.
I missed a small thing, okay?
Put your thumbs down. All right, we'll see how you do on the second chance. All right. Now, turn the page and make sure you are on day 12. Must be on day 12. Do not make a mistake and do the wrong day. Must be day 12. Now your score counts. I'm also dropping the time. You now have 7 minutes for 5 questions. Anyone have any concerns about what you're going to do? Go ahead and begin. All right, colored pens up. Now, this one counts. So let's see how we did. Number 1 is H. Number 2 is D. Number 3 is 61. Number 4 is I. Number 5 is D. So now, calculate your percent. Shouldn't be difficult at all. Now I am going to survey. Give me a thumbs up if you got 80% or better. Okay? Good. Put your thumbs down. Good. Now, I did all the questions in the first set. Now I open up the floor for questions from you. Questions on any of these? Selena, then Ezekiel. Number 3. Good. So, let's start with number 3. Give me a thumbs up if you got it right. Good. Chris, what did you do to get it right?
I compared 3 hours and 30 minutes to a decimal.
And what decimal does that come out to? Okay, so you converted to 3.5. Is that the answer?
No, I'm 212 over 3.5.
Okay, so 212 miles over 3.5 hours gives us miles per hour, but then we need to do what to get the actual unit rate?
You have to divide 3.5 by, I don't know. You divide 212 3.5.
Good, divide top by bottom. 212 divided by 3.5, and you get this ugly decimal. But it says in the instructions, round to the nearest whole number. Round to the nearest whole number, and it comes out to 61. Bubbling that in, In the grid, you put a 61 and you bubble in 6, 1. Follow-up questions on this. Corey, go ahead.
Looking back, I realized I did it the wrong way because I turned 3 hours and 30 minutes into just minutes.
Okay. And you're not the only one who did that. And also keep in mind that they've all seen this question before and you haven't. Because you joined us much later. We actually did this before. So you did the right thing. They just learned a while ago this shortcut to do that. Okay? Good. So you converted it to minutes and then you converted it back to hours at the end. Good for you. All right, Ezekiel, your question. Same one. Any other comments or questions? Any other comments or questions? Okay. Remember that your goal is to maintain or improve. Maintain or improve. Now the questions are going to get a slight bit harder. Not a lot, but a little bit. Going to be a little bit more reading, a little bit more concentration on detail. This is your last chance to improve and to learn. Turn the page one more time. And you are doing week 3, day 13. Make sure you are on day 13. You are now going to have 6 minutes for 5 questions. Does anyone have any issues or concerns? Go ahead and begin.
No, you know when you pronounce Beyonce, you would pronounce the I, Beyonce. Exactly. Just like that's an I, Beyonce. You pronounce all What is it? I'm playing Beyonce. Right. He said right.
All right. Color pens up, pencils down. Last chance to maintain or improve. Here we go. Number 1 was I, and that was one of the questions that was a slightly higher level. Number 2 was C. Number 3 was 12, and number 3 was slightly easier than the other ones. Number 4 was H, and number 5 was B. And that one was only slightly harder because of one little detail. So, calculate your percent, and the floor, as soon as the floor calms down, quiets down, the floor will be open for questions. Okay, questions. We'll start with Valerie, Michaela, and then Corey. Valerie.
Number 5.
Yes.
For every place, I keep on getting it wrong.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Okay. Good. So, give me a thumbs up if you got number 5 correct. Okay. So we got, this time, quite a few people got it wrong. Kivan, what did you do to get it right?
Okay. So what you do is what I do. I multiply how many times he chooses, which is 30, by how many cards there are, which is 8.
Okay.
and then I multiplied that by what cards he has a chance of picking, which was prime numbers, which was 3, 2, 7, and 5.
Okay.
Numbers. So you multiply, I think it's 3.75 times 4, then you get 15, and that was the answer.
Well, you said multiply and then multiply again.
No, he meant
You meant divide?
you said multiply.
You said multiply twice. So you want to do 30 times 8?
Oh, 30 divided by 8.
Okay. So, good. So you're basically doing something without actually writing it out. Did anyone write something down that maybe could illustrate for some other people? Go ahead, Chris.
You can also do the question.
Yeah, what did you put?
4 over 8 equals x over 30.
Okay, 4 over 8 equals x over 30. So now, we need to break this down. Where does the 8 come from? So could someone raise their hand and tell us where the 8 comes from? Isabella. Total amount of cards there are. I love the way she described that. Where does the 4 come from? Yadesh? There are 4 prime numbers. What are they? Kevon kind of said it already, but let's hear it again. What are they, Briante?
3, 2, 7, and 5.
Yeah. 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the only prime numbers. 1 is not a prime number. So if you included 1, it doesn't make you a bad person. If I took all the adults in this school and put them in a room and showed them this question, most of them would probably say that 1 is a prime number. But it is not. 1 has its own special properties. 1 is not prime and 1 is not composite. Because a prime number has 2 factors. A composite number has more than 2 factors. 1 only has 1 factor. The only factor of 1 is 1. So that's why it was 4. So here's what I will say to my students. If you put 5 over 8 and that's why you got the question wrong, don't beat yourself up. It's an honest mistake, but now I want you to move forward, step onto the green tile when you leave here, and remember that 1 is not a prime number. Because there's going to be kids all over the building who don't know that, but you're going to be the students who do know that. That's the difference, okay? So now, Valerie, did I clear up any issues that you were having? Good. Michaela, you were next? Same thing. Corey, you were next after that? Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Danae?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you got 80% or better on this set of questions. Good. Put your thumbs down. So, draw a line across your paper. Your homework is Countdown Week 3, Day 14, and workbook page A19 to A20. And there is a quiz on Tuesday, the next time I see you. And I'm going to explain right now what will be on the quiz. It will be all the countdown questions. Not all of them. All countdown questions. Okay?